So guys, boom, welcome back to another episode of Juice Made TV. And today we have something debatable, quite debatable and interesting and questionable to talk about. Now, you watching this video, how good or bad overall do you guys actually think Bronny James's junior season actually went? I know a lot of people are saying, I always hear people saying he's overrated. Some people would say that he had a lot of improvements. Some people, there's a lot of mixed opinions always about Bronny James, but you watching this video, this is your time. What are your opinions on Bronny James's junior season? Just comment down below and let's get a great basketball conversation started. Please smash that like button. It definitely helps the channel out in so many ways. I don't really ask for much on this channel. I'm trying to drop these daily uploads, so really anything helps out the channel, but that's besides the point. Bronny James, how good of a season, how good overall was Bronny James in his junior year? Now, let's just take a step back once again and kind of look at it from the beginning. His freshman year, in my personal opinion, I feel like his freshman year was kind of a learning curve for Bronny James. I mean, he wasn't even the main focal point. He wasn't the star of that team. And guys, if you remember, that Sierra Canyon team, guys, that team was stacked. They had BJ Boston, Zaire Williams, Zaire Wade, Amari Bailey. I'm telling you, Bronny James, he rarely even played that season. And even at the times that he was on the floor, it wasn't his best year. I believe he was only averaging around 6 points in his freshman season, and he barely even played. So I feel like his freshman year was definitely a year of just kind of scoping, learning how to adjust to the high school game, especially since he was a freshman in Sierra Canyon. Y'all know they played some pretty good teams, at least that season. And I feel like we can all agree that his freshman year was definitely a learning curve for Bronny James. Now, his sophomore year, even then, in my personal opinion, I feel like he was still learning to adjust. There was a lot of drama in Bronny James's sophomore year that was kind of surrounding his name. That was the year that Bronny James even announced that he was going to be joining FaZe Clan. And guys, to me, it's still crazy that people were literally saying that he cannot focus and play the game and also play basketball. I still to this day I don't understand why people were even saying that, but that's another conversation for another day. And also, that was the year where he also, ain't gonna lie, he got caught, you know what I'm saying, on IG Live doing what he had to do. And that was another drama story that we could talk about and touch up on another day. And I ain't gonna lie, that day, if y'all remember that day when this man Bronny James got caught on IG Live, it was definitely a moment in history that I'm sure none of us are going to remember. But specifically on the court, even if you just remember just how good of a player he was his sophomore year, Bronny James, he also got hurt for a majority of the season, and I believe he only came back at the very, very end of the season. So there really wasn't much to really take away from Bronny in his sophomore year. So if you kind of take a step back and just look at his freshman year, his sophomore year, it just didn't start off, I feel like how a lot of people had imagined. But fast forward to his junior year, guys, this is the first year, in my personal opinion, where we finally got to really evaluate who the actual player Bronny James is. This was the first year, in my personal opinion, that Bronny James really stamped his foot down on the floor and really took initiative and played like the Bronny James that I feel like we all have been hoping for, that he'd wished that he'd played for. There was so much improvements that I've seen from Bronny James, especially with his jump shot, especially with the way that he would be creating for his teammates, his defensive ability, his overall energy on the floor, his athleticism, his defensive presence. Guys, overall, even though I feel like we can all agree that Bronny James is still not that star player, the fact that he did make those minor adjustments and it just felt like he belonged to be on the floor, and he was actually making effective plays and attempting a ton of clutch shots, and also taking the stance on guarding the opposing team's best players, doing a lot of little things. I don't know, I just personally feel like Bronny James definitely made a lot of improvements. And on a letter grade scale, I personally would give Bronny James, if I'm gonna be honest, guys, I'm doing this on the spot. I probably would give Bronny James, I would give him a B, maybe a B minus, solely on the fact that I still want to see Bronny James still take that next step. Like I said, I don't even know, to my knowledge, I may be wrong, I don't even know if this man Bronny James dropped more than 20 or 25 points throughout this entire season. I may be wrong. Somebody check the stats or do what you gotta do, drop it in the comment section, but I don't even think that he dropped more than 20 or 25 points this season. I may be wrong on the 20 points, but I don't remember the last time that Bronny James actually dropped more than 25 points during the high school season. I'm not talking about AAU, I'm talking about for Sierra Canyon. But even despite that, like I said, those little things that we saw, just him on the defensive end, him showing up to games that matter. I got a chance to watch Bronny James for the first time this year against Duncanville, and even though he didn't score the most points, like I said, those little things, the way that he was playing on the defensive end, his IQ, his athleticism, it just really spoke to me. And as much as people want to say that he's not dropping this many points or he's not the star player on his team, he's still an effective player that I feel like can definitely translate into the college scene and potentially the NBA. And I don't know what it's going to take for us to really see Bronny James just really be the scorer that we kind of all want him to be. I don't know if Bronny James is ever going to be that player. But one thing that you just cannot deny about Bronny James is, like I said, he's a team-oriented player first. And that's one thing that I do respect for Bronny. And he's going to do whatever it takes to win. Not a lot of players, not a lot of high school people are going to do that. And the fact that Bronny James, he's the type of player to really accept his role, that's a skill that I feel like doesn't really get talked about enough. And I already know that LeBron James really instilled that in his head. And the fact that he has LeBron as his dad, I mean, he's showing him the ropes. Even though he's not the player like LeBron James whenever he was in high school, Bronny James, he's writing his own story that I feel like we all have to respect. And like I said, we have to really judge and kind of evaluate Bronny on a different microscope. There's no need for us to really judge Bronny from a LeBron James type of standpoint. Bronny James is Bronny James. His name, I know his name is LeBron James Jr. really, but even then, like I said, he's not LeBron James. Let's get that clear, guys. Let's get that out of the way. So let's please stop the expectations that he needs to be, Kobe. He needs to be this player, that player. Guys, he's Bronny James. Let him write his own story. It may still be too early to really kind of judge and forecast of who the player that he's going to be. But like I said, one thing that we just cannot deny about Bronny James is that he has the potential, at least in my personal opinion. I think Bronny James definitely has the potential to be a phenomenal player. The pieces just need to start clicking. He's already started his AU season. I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing. He already dropped about 28 points in his first weekend. So Bronny is definitely doing what he needs to be doing. I'm honestly super excited to see how his senior year is actually going to go. What school is he even going to go to? I know he's going to be playing with Bryce James as well. Guys, so much to take away from Bronny James in his junior year. Like I said, you watching this video, what are your truthful, honest, overall opinions about Bronny James in his junior year? Did he show some improvements? Do you think he's still overrated? What are your honest thoughts about Bronny James? Just comment down below. Let's get a great basketball conversation started. Guys, if you made it to the end, please make sure you do me a quick little favor and smash that like button, guys. It helps the channel out in so many ways. You guys have no idea. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Follow me on Instagram at JuiceMadeHoops with the extra S at the end. Join the Discord down below. Do all that fun stuff. And yeah, with all that being said, guys, thank you for watching. And it's been another episode of Juice Made TV. Peace.